Howdy, everyone. All right. Let me get that out of the way. All right, we're ready. So, as we start asking the question, good, what is good? I was asked actually a little bit earlier by Pastor. So, let's consider this day a little bit. Come back with me into the mists of time and imagine all of creation still shiny, still sparkling, and exuding that new creation smell. We can only vaguely imagine what it must have been like. But if we go to Genesis 3, you hear a sound of a commanding voice in the cool of the day. Join me in Genesis 3, verses 14 and 15. The voice is familiar. Because remember, just a little bit earlier, that same voice was making pronouncements beginning with, "Let there be." And that same voice then said, "Good, very good." Now, however, they're only commanding pronouncements, and there are no tones of approval. Let's listen for a moment. Oh no, this cannot be good at all. Cursed are you above all livestock and all the wild animals. Cursed. A little further on, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. If we could just go back a little bit further and burst out of time itself and step into eternity, into the throne room of the triune God. Let us just eavesdrop for a moment on this interchange between the persons of the Trinity, and that we hear the Son saying, "Father, choose me, please. I know that when you ordained that mankind be created through Adam, that they will sin and fall short of our glory. Let me go and pay the price for their sins through my suffering." All right, let's fast forward. Let's go back and go forward in time now. And join me in Isaiah 52. We stop in Judah before the exile. And let's stand in front of the temple, and we'll hear this prophet priest, Isaiah, in front of the temple. And he's speaking from the Lord. Join me in verse 13 of 52. "See, my servant will act wisely. He will be raised and lifted up and highly exalted. Just as there were many who were appalled at him, his appearance was so disfigured beyond that of any man, and his form marred beyond human likeness. So will he sprinkle many nations, and kings will shut their mouths because of him. For what they were not told, they will see. And what they have not heard, they will understand. Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed?" Isaiah continues, "He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and familiar with suffering, like one from whom men hide their faces. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows. Yet we considered him stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted. Isaiah draws a breath, and he starts again. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. And who can speak of his descendants? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was stricken. He was assigned a grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence. Yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and to cause him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life a guilt offering, he will see his offspring and prolong his days, and the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. After the suffering of his soul, he will see the light of life and be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. Therefore, I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death and was numbered with the transgressors. For he bore the sins of many and made intercession for the transgressors. What's that I hear? Do you hear that too? Something coming through the fabric of time. It's a sad song's refrain that draws us over to the palace of a shepherd king. Oh, it's David, King David. He's playing a harp and soulfully singing. As we draw near, we can see tears coursing down his rugged face. Join me in Psalm 22. The words he sings slowly and expressively tumble from his lips. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from the words of my groaning? Oh my God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer. By night, and I'm not silent. Yet you are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the praise of Israel. In you our fathers put their trust. They trusted, and you delivered them. They cried to you, and they were saved. In you they trusted and were not disappointed. But I am a worm and not a man, scorned by men and despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. Yet you brought me out of the womb. You made me trust in you, even at my mother's breast. From birth I was cast upon you. From my mother's womb you have been my God. Do not be far from me. For trouble is near, and there's no one to help. Many bulls surround me. Strong bulls of Bashan encircle me. Roaring lions, tearing their prey, open their mouths wide against me. I am poured out like water. All my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax. It has melted away within me. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. He gulps. And he continues playing. Dogs have surrounded me. A band of evil men has encircled me. They have pierced my hands and my feet. I can count all my bones. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my garments among them and cast lots for my clothing. But you, O Lord, be not far off. O my strength, come quickly to help me. Deliver my life from the sword, my precious life from the power of the dogs. Rescue me from the mouth of the lions. Save me from the horns of the wild oxen. I will declare your name to my brothers. In the congregation I will praise you. You who fear the Lord, praise him. All you descendants of Jacob, honor him. Revere him, all you descendants of Israel. For he has not despised or disdained the suffering of the afflicted one. He has not hidden his face from him, but has listened to his cry for help. We turn away with lumps in our throats. And we're drawn forward in time to the narrow streets of Jerusalem, where a crowd is assembled. Something is wrong, just as it was in that cool of the day back in Genesis. The same fearful anguish we felt when we heard God's pronouncement of curses in that beautiful garden comes back to us. We hear an unholy chant, "Crucify him! Crucify him! We have no king but Caesar. Crucify him!" As we look in the same direction that the crowd is facing, we see a man beaten, bruised, bleeding, surrounded by Roman soldiers. He looks forlorn and abandoned, like a sheep before its shearers. A crown of sharp thorns has been beaten into his head. Blood streaks his face. Blood oozes from countless stripes where he has been mercilessly beaten. He looks, as I said, like a lamb, facing not the shearers, but slaughter. Turn to Mark and join me there for chapter 15. Let's pick up some verses here. Chapter 15, verse 12. Pilate asked them, "What shall I do then with the one you call the King of the Jews?" "Crucify him," they shouted. "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him." Wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. The soldiers led Jesus away into the palace, that is the praetorium, and called together the whole company of soldiers. Let's jump forward a little bit. You get the drift. Verse 20. And when they had mocked him, they took off the purple robe and put on his own clothes on him, and then they led him out to crucify him. A certain man from Cyrene, Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus, was passing it by on the way in from the country. And they forced him to carry the cross. They brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull, and then they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. And they crucified him. Dividing up his clothes, they cast lots to see what each would get. It was the third hour when they crucified him. The written notice of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." They crucified 2 robbers with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "So, you who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, come down from the cross and save yourself." In the same way, the chief priests and the teachers of the law mocked him among themselves. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. Let this Christ, this King of Israel, come down now from the cross that we may see and believe." Those crucified with him also heaped insults on him. At the 6th hour, darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour. And at the 9th hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani." My God, why have you forsaken me?" When those standing near heard this, they said, "Listen, he's calling for Elijah." One man ran, filled a sponge with wine vinegar, put it on a stick, and offered it to Jesus to drink. "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to take him down," he said. With a loud cry, Jesus breathed his last. The curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the centurion who stood there in front of Jesus heard his cry and saw how he died, he said, "Surely this man was the Son of God." Today is Good Friday, when we remember what Jesus did for us. How can this day of all days be called good? A day when this innocent Son of God was brutally beaten, stripped to nakedness, impaled upon a cross with vicious nails, and slowly and painfully drowned in his own fluids. Everything is dark and gruesome. Even at midday, God drew the curtain over and put darkness over it. What is good about this painful and bloody scene? Well, what makes this good will not be visible until next Sunday morning. Without the resurrection, Jesus' death is just another execution of a Roman prisoner. However, with Sunday's empty tomb in sight, we can understand that this violent and cruel day is but a bruising of the heel of the promised one. This is the day that the Son of God shed his precious and sinless blood and absorbed the price of sin and death for all mankind. What makes today of all days, since the pronouncement of the curses in the garden, good, is that the Father turned his back on the Son because Jesus took our sin on himself. 2 Corinthians 5:21 tells us, God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. We read earlier in Isaiah 53, verses 4 and 5, he bore our suffering, yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted, but he was pierced for our transgressions, crucified for our iniquities. Let's make that a little bit more personal. He was pierced for my transgressions, crucified for my iniquities. The punishment that brought me peace was on him, and by his wounds I am healed. Furthermore, Isaiah 53:6 prophesied, the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. As Jesus hung on the cross, and as his lifeblood poured out and painted the wood, it painted the wood for our good. Isaiah 53:10, it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. And the Lord makes his life an offering for sin. Not only was Jesus impaled on that cross, struggling for every breath, but he endured mocking and insults. As the shepherd King David reminded us in Psalm 22:6-8, his joints were also being slowly pulled apart, as we saw in verse 14 there, and nails and thorns pierced his flesh, verse 16 of Psalm 22. Also in Isaiah 53:5. So that, as Isaiah 53:11 reminds us, he would see the light of life after he has suffered and be satisfied. My righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. That Friday was good and will be good for all eternity. Romans 5:6 and then 8 and 9 reminds us, you see, at just the right time, when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Now, since we've been justified by his blood, how much more shall we be saved through his life? Good Friday is good, but it is also somber and serious. Because the bruising of Jesus' heel was not an easy thing. But it's also a time for us to celebrate. Because Jesus' humble obedience to the Father, to saying, not my will, but yours be done, to being humbly obedient to death on that cross, led to the crushing of Satan's head. Consider that, thanks to today's sacrifice, Good Friday's sacrifice, 1 Peter reminds us that you know it's not with perishable things, such as silver or gold, that you were redeemed, but with the precious blood of Christ, a lamb without blemish or defect. He was chosen before the creation of the world, but was revealed in these last times for your sake. As Jesus' body was taken down from the cross, that Good Friday, and he was taken and buried, change was coming. God ripped the veil of the temple from top to bottom as a sign of the new covenant established through Jesus' blood. Join me in Hebrews 9. Hebrews 9, verse 15. For this reason, Christ is the mediator of a new covenant, that those who are called may receive the promised eternal inheritance. Now that he has died as a ransom to set them free from the sins committed under the first covenant. So, the tomb that Jesus' body was laid in was just a temporary arrangement. He only needed to borrow it for 3 days. Let's look forward to Sunday morning with great anticipation. And then let's share in the joy of the women coming to the tomb. Come on out to the sunrise service and celebrate with us. And let's rejoice that there is no grave that can hold the Son of God.